recording. I'd like to welcome everybody to CKJ Crypto News. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Today we have a very, very special treat. We got Sue from Esoteric Trading Solutions. And if you're not familiar with Sue, her valuation of Ripple, priced at $334, has the crypto community has fallen in love with her valuation of Ripple. Her video has even been published on Global Coin Report, and basically the crypto community has fallen in love with the recent price prediction of 334. With your knowledge and your background in finance, the crypto world has truly fell in love with you, Sue. Thank you for being on the show today.
God. Really?
Yeah, they have actually fallen in love with your, believe it or not, how it first started off is I was doing video and everybody was like, have you seen this Esoteric Trading Solutions video, Sue? I said, no, I haven't seen it yet. So everybody started sharing your link on my page. And actually, when I went to your video, I was blown away. Just, it was such a fresh take on valuation. It was so much better than what's going around on YouTube because of your background in finance and your dealings with Swift. I was blown away. You know, first thing is, what is Esoteric Trading Solutions?
Oh, okay. The word esoteric means secretive, clandestine. So something like, a secret, female, male business, that sort of thing, where it might be a select group of people that know the secrets to a code or the secrets to cryptocurrency, something like that. So I really like the word. It was a really old-fashioned word that used to be used like many years ago, and a very important person to me used to use that word quite a lot, who's not with us anymore, and I just wanted to call my company that, Esoteric Trading Solutions. So there's a lot of meaning behind the word for me, and it seems very apt, with the crypto world, because there are so many secrets in the crypto world, and as you say, so what did you say, FOMO or something like that?
FOMO.
There's so much different stuff, and no one knows the truth and no one doesn't, sort of thing. And it just seems very apt for this sort of world. And and my business basically is to really get down to the nuts and bolts of what the truth is, and I don't do. I don't look at a lot of YouTubes and that sort of thing. And honestly, this is my first, talk to someone, that does another station.
Wow.
And, I've got to thank you for being so persistent to try and get me on here, because I've said no to everyone, Joseph. So it's a credit to you, man, because you were just so persistent. I really liked you as a person. So, I thought you had a lot of integrity and very nice person and very honest, and I really like that. That's something that really struck me as being really important. And I've had a lot of people contact me, but I was very comfortable doing it with you, basically. So, but yeah, getting back to Esoteric, pretty much it's sort of clandestine, secretive business that only a handful of people really understand. And I think that's very, very, very apt for the cryptocurrency market. Absolutely. So that's pretty much what it means, yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, you're right on the money with that, with FOMO, because actually, I'll say I reviewed a lot of your videos. And in one of your videos, I think you said something that has the answer to FOMO. It says, learning reduces the stress of not knowing. And I think that is the answer to FOMO.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's certainly a lot of that in the crypto market, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Knowledge is power, that's for sure.
It is, actually. I really believe that. And honestly, I never believe what I read. To me, it's always, it's always taken with a grain of salt. Like, I'm always trying to disprove something before I actually believe in it, I just feel the market is so immature in so many ways.
Exactly.
And honestly, some of the stuff that I read, it's just like mind-boggling. What the market's been able to get away with, it's just incredible, basically. So, it is. It's mind-boggling when I compare it to other markets that I've worked in all my life. for a long time. It's just crazy. So it's like the Wild West in crypto land, basically.
That's what they say. Unregulated market like the Wild Wild West. And actually talking
It
about,
is.
I can tell you the world is extremely interested in Susan. They're interested in they're interested in your background.
Susan.
So, okay. They're very interested. What is your background? You have a background in finance, or you have banking experience, or you have dealt with Swift in the past?
Yeah, I'm showing my age now, man. I've been in finance since '87, well before you were born, basically. I'm an old bag.
Wow.
And I've got the grey hair to prove it. There you go. I'm getting grey by the minute, seriously.
You look young and beautiful.
I started in financial markets in 1987, and that was a long time ago, and basically started with a corporate treasury managing money, and pretty much it was sort of like the first month before the stock exchange crash of 1987, and I thought I was an absolute disaster because I couldn't, fund the book, I couldn't manage the book, I couldn't square it off. And cash rates were through the roof, and obviously the stock market crashed, but nothing was like the 2008 crash that I saw, seriously. But I've been in markets for a long time, worked in foreign exchange markets, fixed interest markets, corporate bond markets, capital markets and equity markets. So since pretty much 87, worked for some of the largest fund managers globally, Morgan Stanley, Citibank or Citigroup. On the equity side, worked for Schroders Asset Management, ANZ Asset Management, CBA, again, all on the funds management side, managing bond books, fixed interest bond books, that sort of thing. Worked for Central Funding Authority of Queensland, which is the state government authority for managing their money, which was basically $24 billion. So worked for private investment banks as well on the treasury side, doing currency and all sorts of things. So have done, quite a lot of stuff actually in the last, 30 odd years or so. And got into crypto probably about, about 4 years ago, I think, something like that, 3.5, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was quite fascinated with it, really. Yeah, I think it's the most fascinating market, actually. Of all the markets, I love the crypto market, seriously. And I got into it because a friend of mine came down from Byron Bay, which is in New South Wales. It's like a sort of touristy, warm area, and he came down for the weekend. And he was talking about Bitcoin and something else, and I had no idea what he was talking about. And another friend of mine who worked for Morgan Stanley, who was a stockbroker, said, oh, it's all crap and it's all garbage. Well, I decided, rather than, shooting him down, I decided to actually look into it.
Oh, okay.
And the more I looked into it, the more it fascinated me. It just it captured my imagination. It was just incredible. And I found that the technology was just unbelievable. I mean, it was just, to me, this is as big as the internet, seriously. And I remember when the internet came out, the internet came out in 92, and we were the first ones in Treasury to get it. And we're all saying at the time, oh God, this is not going to work. This is terrible. We can't remember the WW and we had these, we used to write everything down, like WW, and you had all these different search engines. And we couldn't remember anything. We'd be so frustrated trying to use the internet because we couldn't remember anything. Exactly. And we just thought, this thing's never going to work. And it took about 5 years, from 1992 or 93, for the internet to work. But, the cryptocurrency landscape is going to be a lot quicker than that, in terms of the technology. But certainly, I mean, the cryptocurrency market it's a new asset class, and it's the first new asset class after 180 years or something.
Wow.
And it's got the potential to change the world, like really. And I don't think people realise that. A lot of people just don't realise that. It's going to change literally the workflow. It's going to get rid of, hundreds of millions of jobs. It's just unbelievable what it can do. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I basically read something that basically the financial or the banking crash of '08 that you spoke of is what kind of led the birth to digital currencies or digital assets, as far as being cryptos being geared to more of peer-to-peer,
outside the institutions and that sort of thing. Yeah, definitely. It doesn't surprise me because the '08 crash was just shocking, like really. I mean, I was working at that time in the equity market, and my God, I mean, the differences in that market, the differences from the '08 crash to the '87 crash is the '08 crash kept going until '09. And it went even further down in 2009. And a lot of us people that were working as stockbrokers, and I was working as a stockbroker at the time, for Citigroup, which then became Morgan Stanley, basically the market kept falling. And so we all got long, we all bought shares, when the market had been off 50%. But the market actually went down 80 to 90%.
Wow.
And, I know people that lost their houses. I know people that lost all their lives. I know people that suicided because of it. It was just horrendous.
Wow.
Absolutely horrendous. Yeah, really bad.
Yeah,
really bad. Clients lost everything. In Australia, particularly before that, there was a legislation that was passed in 2007 basically saying to people, you put an extra $1 million in your super fund, because normally they have a cap on the super fund, and a lot of people actually borrowed money against their super fund to put $1 million into their super fund, and when the crash came, their shares went to 200,000, and they still had a debt of 800,000. So a lot of people got absolutely cremated in 2008 and 2009.
Wow.
Really bad, and they're still working for it now, still paying off the bill. So it was absolutely diabolical. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that actually really reminds me of something. How I first, not to jump around, but how I first got interested in Ripple, I ran across an article that the Federal Reserve released. Basically said that Ripple has the power to underpin the next generation of high fees through cross-border payments. Well, basically, I looked at that as Federal Reserve is backing Ripple. Now, pretty much, Ripple has a lot of people's attention. And I believe it's because the technology, like you spoke of earlier and how we spoke of prior. Basically, you kind of spoke on how you got introduced to cryptocurrencies, but what is it about Ripple that actually really grabs your attention and your support? I noticed in your videos, and I went way back, you even have videos that says, I love Ripple.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember the first time I, read about Ripple. It's weird. I don't even remember the first time that I actually, read about it or anything. But the thing is, because obviously, there was an alternative system to SWIFT, that would have got my attention straight away because, I've used SWIFT all my life and I've been exposed to SWIFT all my, financial markets life since 87, and it's just a crap old system. It is so bad.
Is it?
It's akin to, how can I say this? It's like using an old IBM computer from the 1970s compared to the fastest computer you could ever imagine, right? It's just the worst system to use. And the thing is, it charges banks and fund managers and corporates and anyone else that's got a lot of money huge transaction fees. But it's not just that. It's basically the process of settlement. It cannot do instant settlement. And, a lot of people don't seem to understand that Ripple can actually do instant settlement in volume.
Wow.
And straight away with any currency, not just currency. Mm-hmm. They could do it with any sort of, asset, whether it be property, whether it be collectibles, any sort of asset. And, no other cryptocurrency can do that. I mean, it's not just that. I mean, they have the capability of, going into competition with Ethereum, with Waves, with Neo. They've got a platform where ICOs can actually launch their own ICO on their platform. I mean, they haven't even started marketing that yet. But, getting back to SWIFT, I mean, SWIFT is the worst system in the world. I mean, it basically means, it's essentially a messaging system where you need one person, like, I'm talking to you in America and it's Australia here, and it's 3:22 a.m. here. I have to be up to basically settle a deal with you in America at the same time. Okay. And if I'm not, that deal doesn't get confirmed or settled. That's the biggest problem.
Wow.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
exactly. I understand.
And that thing gets, and that's, if you're talking about it, say, Australia, US, that's one of the most, fifth largest, traded currency in the world, the most liquid.
Okay.
But, if you have problems settling the most liquid currency in terms of cash flow, you can imagine how bad it would be if you're trying to settle net liquid currency around the rest of the world, right?
Exactly.
Now, people saw, even I know Alan, I don't watch TV, but even me in Australia, I don't watch Alan, but even I heard about Alan. Is that how you pronounce your name, Alan?
Yep, Alan.
you know, about, you know, she got a check from Ripple, and they settled in some African currency, right?
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher, I think he donated $4 million in Ripple or XRP to Ellen's favorite charity, something about the gorillas. I did see it, and it was actually a really huge promotional move for Ripple, because a lot of people that aren't even believers in the technology, now that, and it's weird, now that Ashton Kutcher spoke of Ripple, now people are like, oh, Ripple, wow, this is huge.
Well, you know, the thing is, people got to understand something. I mean, excuse me, if you did that through Swift, it would literally, I'm not kidding, take you 20 business days to do it.
Wow.
You know, if you're lucky, because, you know, the problem is, you know, if you need to go and pay someone in the African, whatever it was, you know, your bank may not have a bank in Africa.
Exactly.
Right? Or have someone to pass the money through. So they have to find a correspondent bank that has an account with that bank in Africa. And it could be 5 different banks, correspondent banks, right?
Exactly.
And the SWIFT system, because you have to both be on the end at the same time to confirm those trades, it just becomes a nightmare. And you've got different time zones. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I think
it's not an automatic system, you know.
Yeah,
Ripple's an automatic system. Once the deal's in, it's in.
Okay, now I can actually see what you mean about the time zone, because I think here I'm in the U.S. here, and you're in Australia, and it's actually complete opposite time zones. Like,
absolutely,
when it's daytime here or 6 in the morning, it's like maybe midnight or 1 in the morning there. And like you said, both entities have to be open to complete the ledger. And if they're going through different corresponding banks,
situation,
so that would be actually multiple ledgers also.
And the whole problem is, and I don't think people understand this, but the whole problem is, if you don't have a cash flow settling, and I'm a person sitting on the treasury desk of a big bank or a wholesale fund manager or something like that, I'd say potentially I've got 100 million going out.
Okay.
But the problem is I don't know when that 100 million is going. I think it's going in 2 days, because generally if I do an FX deal, it's going to be trade today plus 2 days settlement, right? Used to be 3. So if nothing goes wrong, it should settle in 2 days' time. But me as a bank, I have to hold an extra 100 million just in case. You know, waiting for this thing to settle. And if it doesn't settle in 2 days, I'm still holding 100 million extra.
Wow.
You know, because the money's got to come out, right?
Exactly.
So I've got 100 million. I'm waiting for it to come out. I've liquidated some assets on my side because I've got to physically pay out the 100 mil to you.
Okay.
But if it doesn't settle, I'm still holding 100 million.
Wow.
In my Bostro account, in my bank account, just my bank account with Bank A, right?
Exactly.
So 100 mil sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and there's a huge opportunity cost of me as a bank holding 100 million. It's not just the opportunity cost that I could use that money to invest in something else. You know, I could lend it to my property team to buy a building. I could lend it for another security. I could lend it to my equity department, whatever. But the fact is I've got to hold this in my account until that cash flow settles.
Wow.
And then what people don't seem to understand with Ripple, because they're scratching their head going, how do the banks, you know, get rid of all these costs? Well, the thing is, think about what it means to monitor 100 mil, right? In middle office, you've got credit people, you've got settlements people, you've got legal people, you've got risk people, you've got trading limit people. Me as a dealer, I've got exposure to you because I've done a deal with you where I've had to give you 100 million US, so.
Exactly.
But that thing hasn't settled yet, but it's still a contingent liability from my perspective. So all my risk people at middle office level are monitoring me because I've got a limit that's being used against you, I've got a settlement limit being used against you, and a credit limit being used against you. But no cash flow settled. So you've got all these middle office people monitoring all this risk, plus I've got to worry about my exchange settlement account with the Reserve Bank of Australia.
Exactly.
Now, if you bring in instant settlement 1, 2, 3, and the cash flow is instant, you basically get rid of a whole middle layer of middle office.
Wow.
You don't need these risk people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. That's really huge too, because I can tell you.
You don't need the accountants. You don't need the people that monitor all my limits and everything, because effectively I only have a settlement limit or a credit risk problem for 3 seconds.
Wow.
Not for bloody 2 days, 10 days, or 15 or 20 days.
I can honestly tell you, every time I listen to you, I gain more and more knowledge.
That's why the banks are saving so much money just using the technology alone.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that reminds me of
technology alone, which is just X current, they save 30 to 40% off their bottom line.
Wow.
Now, what does that mean? Think about it. You're effectively giving back the banks 40 cents back in the dollar.
Okay.
By using Ripple technology, right?
Okay.
That means they've got 40 cents extra compared to a competitor that doesn't use it.
Exactly.
Now, that means they've got more profit, okay? Think about it. If a bank has more profit compared to the other bank, what can they do? From a strategic point of view, they can basically go, right, I'm Bank A, I'm Bank of America, and I'm saving 40% for every transaction I do.
Exactly.
And that bank's not saving anything. I can compete and get those clients of that bank because I can basically now come out and tell my lending people to reduce their interest rates so that those clients see a mortgage rate at Bank of America or whatever bank, doesn't matter.
Okay.
At 3%, I don't know what your mortgage rates are, but say that bank over there had mortgage rates at 4%, you're not going to go back to your own bank at 4%, you're going to go to this bank at 3%, right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because
that makes sense.
That bank's saving so much money, they can reduce the cost on their other products.
Exactly.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It actually reminds me of something you said about banks actually cannot afford to not use the Ripple technology.
Exactly. They just can't. No one can. That's the truth. No one can afford not to use Ripple. Because what it means is, when you really think about it, even if they use X current, forget about XRP for a minute, they can literally, the minute a bank or American Express uses X current, American Express can now go after MasterCard's clients.
Exactly.
It can go after anyone else's clients because it's getting an extra 40%, and it can now go out with a credit card at 8% rather than MasterCard's credit card at 12, 16 or whatever. It's so obvious. It's a joke, right?
Exactly.
To me, it's so obvious.
It's hard for me.
That's why I don't understand why the crypto market is so stupid. And they value this crypto at 60 cents. You have got to be joking me. Because they're all going, they don't use XRP. Well, the company makes a fortune. Ripple, the company, makes a fortune. For everyone that uses XRP, they are paying for the technology.
Exactly.
Right? The technical spend, the IT spend for a bank to put in a new settlement system is huge. And banks pay millions on IT, millions. And they make that decision to change IT literally once in a working lifetime.
Okay.
IT would not generally change settlement IT for a long time. And that's why SWIFT does not change for a long time, because it is so difficult to change that right throughout the bank. Because a bank's an ongoing business, right?
Exactly.
You've got your ATM machines, you've got your money going out, your money coming in, you've got loans going out. Think about a bank stopping business for a day. It's almost impossible. They can't.
Exactly.
And to change settlement is a huge thing. If they take on Ripple, X current, they're not going to go and move to Stellar or somewhere else. There's just so much involved in doing that. They can't. They have to get permission from the RBA. They have to get permission from ASIC. ASIC have got to know what they're doing, which is our Security Institute, a Security Investment Commission.
Okay.
The Bank of Australia needs to know what's going on. It's just such a huge thing, and it's costly. And again, the banks in Australia have been spending millions and millions on IT to try and work out how to get instant settlement, and they have not been able to do it, right? It makes me laugh when someone says, oh, God, SWIFT's now working on a system to do instant settlement. Well, shit, if they were, why didn't they do it 15 years ago? You know, the reality is the banks hate SWIFT and they want to move away from it as fast as they can. Even if they had instant settlement, I think the banks would move away because they have been raping and pillaging the banks for years.
Okay. That reminds me of what Chris Larson says, that Ripple is actually the only enterprise solution. Chris Larson, the founder of Ripple.
It is. I mean, this is what I cannot understand with this crypto market. You know, it's so stupid. You know, here you are, the crypto market values something like EOS, which is using Ethereum's platform. It's got no clients, no revenue at $12, and it's sitting on someone else's platform. That's akin to me sitting in McDonald's, right? Okay. McDonald's, the chain, which is very profitable.
This is really good right here.
And I'm setting up a bloody Apple shop in McDonald's, my little shop, Susie Cruz Apple Shop, right? I don't sell any apples. I don't sell any apple cakes, right?
Yeah.
But I'm worth a fortune because I'm sitting in McDonald's. That's just stupid.
This is actually huge. This is actually from
reviewing. I mean, no one uses bloody, EOS. It's not even on its own blockchain. And yet the dumb crypto market values it at $12. Exactly. How can that be? There's no usability and there's no revenue. But they're valuing it at $12 because they think it's a real competitor to Ethereum.
Exactly. This is actually what really... This is what really piqued my interest.
Ripple's got the, runs on the board, Joseph. But they value EOS at $12 when it's got no revenue and it's got no usability because it's not on its own blockchain.
Exactly.
They're just saying, hey, we think it's going to be a real competitor to Ethereum. Well, shit, man, you can say a lot of things, man. I'm bloody Mother Teresa. You know? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And this is what I think people do not understand in the crypto world. And actually listening to your videos, you're so intelligent. You actually really made me re-examine most of my investments. Because the thing is, as far as I watched one of your videos.
I mean, I'm just, you flatter me too much. Seriously. You are serious. Stop that.
No, it's the truth, because once I analyzed your videos, it made me realize one thing. That Ripple is actually so much farther than its competition or Stellar or even other cryptos that have roadmaps or white papers. They promise this, they promise that. But a company actually has to generate revenue for itself. And Ripple has a working product, a product that is ready for mass adoption, ready to be marketed.
They deliver on every level, man, every level. And yet all the cryptocurrency market does is crucify them. And yet they deliver on every market. Tell me what other financial market where that happens. A company delivers and yet they get crucified. It doesn't happen in any other market, does it?
No, it sure doesn't. No, it sure doesn't.
If Ripple was put on the stock exchange tomorrow, what do you think their equity be worth? I honestly believe Ripple is another Google, right?
Okay.
Honestly. And I'll say that right now. And I honestly believe that Ripple is as big as the internet, okay? Because they have the technology that no one else has, Okay. And the thing is, if they got put on the stock market, they would be valued like an incredible IT company with the most progressive technology that anyone's ever had. And I can tell you right now, their shares wouldn't be valued at 60 cents.
Exactly.
More like friggin' 600 US or something. If they're going to value Google at 1,000, then, Ripple would go on as an IPO at 600.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, get real.
That's why I made a video basically that Ripple is one of the most undervalued cryptocurrencies, or we'll say digital assets now that
but, if the crypto market, this retail crypto market, which is basically full of young dickheads, 25, excluding you, Joseph, but, if they're that stupid, seriously, well, we just have to wait until, the professionals come in, because they'll look at it and go, what the hell's going on, just like me, and,
well, actually,
scratch their heads.
I watched a video yesterday from David Schwartz.
And sell everything else that doesn't have any revenue or usability, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, it kind of goes off of what you were saying. I watched a video about David Schwartz. He's the choreographer at Ripple. You may have seen his videos. He basically said that as of right now, banks are somewhat dragging their feet because there isn't no competitive competition for Ripple, or so basically they can drag their feet. But like for example, Western Union and MoneyGram both signed up at the same time because they're each other's competition. Now, basically,
yeah.
and then one
Oh,
other
look,
thing
it's
you
a matter
said,
of
if they
time.
don't,
Look, it'll happen very fast. I mean, I'll give you an example, right? CBA, Commonwealth Bank, is using Ripple internally, okay, and they have internal divisions where they have them in South Africa and everywhere else. Now, if I do a transfer, and I can see it already, if I do a transfer from ANZ and I pay someone else, it takes at least 4 or 5 days, right?
yes.
But if I get something if I do a transfer from CBA or someone pays me from CBA, it's happening within 1 day and it's noticeable. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's all it's got to do here, the banks are paying Ripple already, the major banks here, which are 4, ANZ, NAB, Westpac, and, CBA. But it's just got to take one of them to commit, totally, and the other 3 will just be, running in line, and then you'll have all the regionals as well following. It's just like a pack of sheep. But it will happen, and it'll happen fast. And you know what? It's going to happen quicker than anyone knows, right? We can bang on about the current it being cheap, but, it's like everything. You can't bring a horse to drink water, right?
Exactly.
You can, I was telling people, when Ripple was at bloody 5 cents, 2 cents to buy it, and even when it got to 20, I was telling people to buy it. But then it got to 380 and, people are like spewing. But the reality is when this thing moves, it's going to seriously move. And it'll be just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin took a long time to move, right? And then all of a sudden it went from 4,500 to 20,000. I believe Ripple will be quicker than that. But when it moves, it's going to really move.
Exactly, I agree.
And it only takes 1 or 2 really large banks who actually know exactly what the technology means.
Exactly.
And what it means for the bank in terms of other clients. And, like you said, banks cannot afford to be out of it.
Exactly.
So they will literally lose their client base. That's what it comes down to.
My next question is, you're right on the money. I highly recommend anybody to go and review some of your videos. They'll learn so much. My question to you is, where do you see the future of Ripple and XRP going? Is there any use cases?
I've always said this. I've always said this way back in my videos. I think Ripple will be number 1. It'll be bigger than Bitcoin. It'll be number 1.
Okay.
I've got no doubt in my mind about that. People don't seem to understand if the banks use Ripple, the high net worth clients are going to use Ripple, the retail banks are going to use, the retail people are going to use Ripple, the fund managers are going to use Ripple, the money managers, foreign currency providers. Ripple will be number 1.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Bitcoin is old technology. It's 2008 technology. It can only process 7 transactions if you're lucky, within a couple of minutes or so, if you're lucky. That's when things are going well. When they've got the miner issue, God help us. They bang on about Ripple being centralized. The technology is not centralized. The company is. But you know what? I've got news for them. So what if it is centralized? It's not. It's not, though, because it is decentralized technology, distributed ledger, and open source. Bitcoin is centralized because you've only got 4 major miners that control that. And when that was happening, Bitcoin prices went to $50. You go and buy a coffee for $3, and it's going to cost you $50 to get a Bitcoin processed by the miners who validate it. Exactly. And the thing is, you're lucky if it's going to be processed in 48 hours to 60 hours.
Exactly.
But it's still not viable. It's old technology. It's just that it's really well known and it's a poster child. Ethereum's got the same issue. They use the same miners. Exactly. Ethereum's got a lot of problems at the moment. Heaps of problems. I can name, there's so many cryptocurrencies that have got so many problems. IOTA, I think it's the biggest scam since sliced bread, man. Honestly. And I'm going to do another video, and it's not even on coin capital markets. The market valuation's not even right. IOTA got issued in IOTA. Go back to IOTA's issuance. you know, when they came out with their ICO back in 2014, it was actually issued in IOTA. But yet, Coin Capital Markets has got them down as MIOTA on the supply side.
Oh, okay.
Now, a million IOTA equals 1 iota, 1 MIOTA. A million IOTA, I'll say it again, 1 million IOTA equals 1 MIOTA.
Okay.
So the valuation on Coin Capital Markets is not correct. To be multiplied by 1 million, which takes the market value of IOTA to something astronomical.
Wow. Wow.
Like crazy, man. Crazy.
That's
you multiply
huge.
the coin. You know, and everyone's banging on about Ripple's market valuation. Get real. All the IOTA groupies. The valuation of IOTA is actually incorrect on Coin Capital Markets. It's multiplied by another 1 million.
Exactly.
Which is huge numbers. We're talking huge numbers here.
Yeah, from reviewing your videos, that's pretty much what I got out of that. And that's why...
Neo doesn't work. It's got 6 to 9 nodes. The system's been down time and time again, so is IOTA. I mean, I could look at literally everything that every cryptocurrency I look at has got something wrong with it.
Exactly, and that's why, believe it or not, and that's why I said, you know, preparing for the interview, I have been speaking with you over the phone and preparing for the interview, so I wanted to familiarize myself with your videos and your work. So I've pretty much watched pretty much all the way back to the beginning of your videos. I think maybe July 2015, I believe your videos go back, and I've learned so much. And actually, from listening to you, like I said, I've really have took a serious look at some of my investments. You know, like I said, far as the companies I've invested in may have only had a white paper and not an actual product that's market ready.
Well, some things don't even have white papers. I mean, you look at the press. You know, one of my clients asked me to look at DigiByte. I mean, seriously, come on. You know, the press is, you know, saying buy DigiByte. I mean, get real. Doesn't even have a white paper. You know, it's just
exactly. Most of these companies are copying and pasting. Most of the companies are actually copying and pasting somebody's complete white paper and just changing maybe the name at the top.
Exactly. I mean, they don't even have a beta model. They have nothing. They have no working model.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
And yet people are putting valuations on these things. I mean, it's just dumb.
Exactly.
But you know, it'll be the test of time. You know.
Exactly.
You know, honestly, it'll be the test of time.
Well, speaking of valuations, I can honestly tell you, on my YouTube channel, I've had so many people that have sent me your link, and I'm telling you, I watched your video 3 times in a row, and each time I got more and more out of that video. The video I'm referring to is the valuation of Ripple at a $334 price of, and like you said, it's on the low end of just a 10% use case of the market. So basically, what I wanted to do, like we spoke about earlier, was going to break this video down into 2 parts. When we come back, we will discuss Sue at Esoteric Trading's valuation of 334. I tell you, I told Sue last night, I ran across her video. Actually was on Global Coin Report. Author there actually did a whole write-up on you and validated. He loves your work. Everybody loves your valuation. They think you were right on the money. On part 2 of video, I would like to get in a little bit depth of that evaluation and tell us basically how you came up with them numbers, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Yeah, like I said, Crypto Pioneers, we're going to break this video down into 2 parts. And basically, like I said, on part 2, we're going to come back with Sue from Esoteric Trading, and she will go in depth on her video, how she came up with the 334 valuation. And I'm telling you, that valuation, the crypto world has fallen in love with you and your evaluation. And even if you read through some of the comments, everybody's like, Ripple Queen, Sue is the Ripple Queen, Sue for president. We love Sue.
Oh, that's funny. Sue for president. Yeah, I reckon I could do a better job than your president at the moment.
Yeah, that's for sure. With your wealth of knowledge, anything is possible. I think
this road
is just beginning for you. People love your valuation. And I feel I was very lucky to even have you on my show. And I think there's a huge future in front of you. Pretty
Well, I
soon,
like you,
you're
Joseph.
gonna
That's
have
why.
you're gonna have Schwartz, the choreographer from Ripple, David Larson speaking, and I believe you will also be on that panel. That's for sure.
That's funny. Oh, thank you, Joseph. That's
Oh,
great.
there's
I
no
really
problem, Sil.
appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Joseph.
Oh, it was my pleasure, that's for sure. All right, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna, let me see.
You're a lovely guy, and I've got a lot of respect in you, and I really appreciate you interviewing me. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show, Joseph.
Oh, it
Very
means
much
the world to me.
appreciated.
Thank you. You're so wonderful. Okay. One
Nothing.
second.